How do you feel? Huh? Excellent. Oh, are you sure? You mean there's nothing that could be better? Yeah, but now it cannot be excellent, otherwise, otherwise excellent means nothing could be better. And this is the state of a Buddha, where nothing can be better. That one has eliminated all negative emotions from the mind, and one has developed everything that can be developed in terms of love, compassion, wisdom, and then of course the six perfections of ethical conduct. Generosity first, then ethical conduct, then patience, then enthusiasm, concentration, and wisdom. These are the practices. This is what you're training on the way by being a bodhisattva, actually. So I guess all these things, even if one is not a Buddhist, even if you're not religious, you would see them as qualities, these six perfections. And we can also see that it's difficult to do it. And what is standing in our way is our self-centeredness, our believing in an autonomous self, that we want to be comfortable and we want to be happy, and therefore then it creates problems because we don't see the needs of others anymore. When you hear this also, you don't have to be totally afraid by thinking that you have to give yourself up, because maybe if you remember, we said there's two ways or two aspects to that bodhicitta mind. I want to attain enlightenment so that I can be of benefit to others. So if you are in a totally no good state, then how can you be of benefit to others? So this is why these are the preliminaries to first to look after ourselves. And first look after ourselves, that doesn't mean that you harm others, because that's not looking after ourselves. That is putting ourselves in danger that something will come back. If not by the same person, then because we have created the action, a karmic result. This is what Buddhism is teaching. So let's just sit together. You're already sitting. Let's just quietly, you yourself, contemplate a little bit why you are here. So you close your eyes, you connect yourself with the body. This is always the first thing that you do. You straighten your back. If you don't need to lean on the wall, then try to lean forward. Otherwise, chair is quite okay. If you cannot sit on the floor, chair is fine also, because you have less pain on the chair. Then your hands are in your lap, left hand is supporting the right hand, or you let them very relaxedly kind of rest on your knees with the palms down. So that relaxes the upper body. First look at the body, how the body is. The body is okay. No tensions. Somebody just came in that has nothing to do with you, so you don't need to be distracted. And then you look at your mind, and the question that I asked when I came in, how are you? Now you ask that question to yourself. And you just let arise whatever wants to arise. Without manipulating anything, without pushing anything away. Just looking. Asking yourself, how am I? And very often we might see that although we say that I'm fine or excellent or these things, when we start to look, it's not really like that. What you might notice when you start to look inside, there's a certain restlessness or nervous. This restlessness or the nervousness or this uncertainty comes about because everything is uncertain. With our mind that projects permanence and that plans for ourselves that everything goes the way we want it to go, we know that we can't rely on it, even though we have made the plans. But we only know it deep down. We don't really live with this fact of uncertainty. So now try to connect to this deep, deep yearning that we all have for happiness, or you can use other words for well-being, for goodness, for purity and peace, for spaciousness. That yearning might not feel so comfortable, but it's good that we have it, because then we start to look how can we fulfill that wish. Now in general one is looking outside. Has certain ideas how one's life should be. Definitely everybody would like to have financial security. This is why we work so hard. And it's a good thing to have it, because it doesn't make your life easy if you have no money. Or some reputation or a good job. Having lots of pleasures. Having many friends. Just try to see if you do aspire for these things. And that we have this illusion that if we would have all these things together, then that wish for lasting happiness and well-being will be fulfilled. And I think the nervousness comes about, or the uncertainty, or a subtle feeling of being uneasy. We know that this is not true. Somehow we know that we're looking in the wrong place. so the motivation for coming to this course from your side, you look for yourself. Why are you doing or studying Buddhist practices? What is it that you expect from them? So the word says it, it's a practice. It's not something that you will get the result immediately without a practice. So what the Buddha is giving us the tools. Then if we do apply them, with time and after a long time, our mind will increase in compassion and wisdom. If we don't apply them, if we only know them in the head, if we only know about things, then it most probably won't work. So the higher you set your motivation, the more time you need to give it. But the higher you set your motivation, then you also know that it will be difficult to attain that goal, so you give yourself that time. One tries to make the motivation quite wide, not just for myself, but so the people around me, the people I have contact with, can benefit from it also. So I can train the mind, for example, not to react in a negative way. The more clear you are about what you want, the more chance you have to be able to get it. So then again, just to finish that contemplation, you ask yourself, what do I really want? What is important to me? Okay, then you can relax. So, are you all clear now what you want? Yeah, pretty much. So, what is essential also on this spiritual path, which I have to repeat this again and again and again and again, it's not an easy path. and it's not a quick path. So if you just want happiness for this life, I don't know if you will have enough patience and diligence to continue to do these things. And what will happen also, because at the beginning every practice looks interesting because something new. It's also something that appeals to us because it touches something in us that we know is true. We kind of know that it's only through love, compassion and wisdom that we will attain that happiness that we really want, the happiness that is not depending on outside things. But then if the results don't come so quickly, then you give up very quickly, or you go to something else. This is the problem, because everything at the beginning feels good. And then the mind becomes bored. So what is very valuable on that path would be a guru, a lama, a teacher. And by teacher I don't mean me, okay, because I have no realizations. But by teacher I mean somebody who is really living that path. Somebody in all situations has really basic sanity. And that person then serves as an inspiration for you wanting to attain that goal. For the moment, I don't know. I only know Tibetan masters that I trust in that way, that I fully trust. And it's the relationship that you have to this person, you have to build it up. It's not something that just happens just like that in general. It can happen just like that. And the better you know the teachings, the better you will recognize if that person really is a master, because then you will know what the person teaches also. So you can practice these things and study and come to courses like this one for quite a number of years before you go and try to find a guru. It's not that you cannot start this path without a living guru. But when it comes down to difficult practices like this, not what we do today, and tomorrow becomes more difficult because it's bodhicitta, but what we do today is quite easy. These points you can understand yourself, you can meditate on them, you can reflect on them, that's fine. But when it comes down to really stay in a difficult situation, or even something like going into a long retreat, which is, many people think is really easy, because their life is totally full and too much responsibility, and then they think, if I can shut myself away, then there will be peace. Well, you see, you take your mind with you in the retreat. And if you don't have a structured practice in that retreat, and if you haven't trained the mind with shorter retreats to, like, let's say, here you come for a weekend, that's not even a retreat, it's just a seminar, I don't know how you want to call it. When I start to talk about retreat, I would say 1 month upwards, or at least a week where you don't have contact with anybody, where you are in silence, where you know what you want to do, and you stick to it. Now, if it's longer than 1 week, very quickly you start to feel bored, because all your toys are being taken away from you. The conversations with others, with the telephone, the computer, the newspapers, the TV, the pleasures. Every time you feel like going for an ice cream, you go for an ice cream. Every time you feel like going for a coffee, you go for a coffee. All this is being taken away from you because somebody will cook for you and will put it in front of your door, and you like it or don't like it, this is what you get. So the mind can get into terrible states. So it's a good thing, because then we start to recognize how dependent we are on all these outside things, because as long as we have them, we don't see it. So if you decide on your own that, oh yeah, I'm going to do retreat, then when the problems arise and it's getting difficult, what do you think you will do?
Leave.
Huh?
Leave.
Yeah. You stop the retreat, you think, oh, maybe it's not the right thing to do at the moment. But all the problems, the difficulties in the practice, this is what this text is for. We all use them in order to make progress. But spiritual practice is not about having just an easy life. It's about, for the sake of knowing what? Knowing that things do not exist the way that they appear to us. Knowing that we could have lasting happiness if we know the nature of the mind. And knowing the nature of the mind is only possible when you have the ability to really calm the mind. You see, even at the beginning of your spiritual practice, you're very happy. And you think, wow, I'm really progressing so well. It's too much excitement. It's not a calm mind. And the moment you don't have these happy feelings anymore, when you go to retreats or when you start to read books or when you are having Sangha discussions or things like that, the moment these happy feelings don't come anymore, you're in great danger of giving up. Because they will fade away. The beginning of your practice is just honeymoon. And then a marriage will hold a break if you work with it. If you work with the difficulties. If you don't just expect your partner to do every time, to do what you or what you want him or her to do. And then maybe that attachment transforms into love. And you start to see a deeper thing than what you see with falling in love with somebody. When you fall in love with somebody, you know, you only see the positive sides and you think that you will be able to stay with that person for the rest of your life. When the attachment goes, the filter also disappears. And then you start to see more of that person. And then you think the person has changed, but the person hasn't changed. Your attitude towards the person has changed. And then it can become something really beautiful. Then it can change from, I want you to make me happy, or I love you because you make me so happy. It changes into, I want you to be happy. And then that changes into love. So these things we want to understand with our spiritual practice. We want to understand how the negative emotions, how the kleshas, how they work, what kind of pictures they project outside. And we want to fulfill that feeling of yearning for lasting happiness. Did you feel it? Do you have that? Some don't seem to have it.
There's no lasting happiness. There's no lasting. There's no lasting.
The feeling is lasting. The feeling of wanting that happiness you find immediately.
It's no lasting. It's impermanent. Impermanent.
What?
Happiness.
Yeah.
It's no lasting. That's it.
Yeah, I know, but we want lasting happiness. This is what I'm talking
Until you
about.
find out that.
This is what I'm talking
Until you
about.
find out that.
That's why we practice.
Yeah.
That we are looking in the wrong place. But the yearning, you understand yearning?
Yeah.
Did you feel it? So we want it. And we can have it through the practice. But it will be a long way. So first we need to understand why we have non-lasting happiness. Why everything always falls apart. Because the Buddha talks about two mind states. The mind that is a samsaric mind state that has, we call them kleshas, because then I can always use the same word. That mind that is filled with aversion, attachment, jealousy, deluded doubt, wrong views, ignorance, self-concern in a way like exaggerated self-concern, no caring about what kind of actions you do, doing the action, then getting, if it's a negative action, getting angry when the negative results comes and not taking the blame on your mind stream, but putting the blame on somebody else or on the conditions. So it's about that, and it's especially about knowing our nature who is pure, but covered with these negative emotions. Now, Asian people, they have a big advantage before us because they learn this about the pure nature of the mind since they are born. So for them it's clear. It's totally clear. Actually, I'm okay. I'm just not okay because I have to get rid of a few things. So they have much more self-confidence than we have. I was born in the Christian tradition. I don't want to criticize Christianity because I don't know it well enough to really point out what I think is not so good. I can tell you what I didn't like, but that doesn't mean that it's no good. It's just that I didn't like that. I had always problems with a God who is omnipotent and doesn't do anything about this mess. It's like a mother or father who sees their children going totally the wrong way and says, well, they have to learn by themselves. And yeah, the tools we were given, that is true. But if you don't trust this being, which I didn't, unfortunately, if you don't trust this being that is called God, that whatever happens to you is for your own good because you can learn from it. If that trust is missing, it's not working. It's not working. If I have a friend of mine, she's a very good Christian, and I see it works if you have that trust. Because it also works totally well to decrease the ego. Because she says everything that comes through the grace of God or Jesus. Everything that happens to me which is negative, I can take this as a way to grow in compassion, like Jesus. And it works. He's a wonderful person. But if the trust is missing, somehow I never found a connection to this being. Some people find it, and it's beautiful. It's really beautiful if it's there. And they look at it in these two ways. When I heard about Buddhism and about karma, I preferred that. That I am responsible for my own happiness and suffering. Because the first thing it does, it takes you out of the victim role. That's the first thing. There's many things I didn't like also at the beginning of my Buddhist practice. So I think I was open enough to just leave them aside. Say, okay, this is not for me, but the philosophy, especially the karma thing, it was really appealing to me. And then the methods how to deal with your negative emotions, and then of course emptiness. When I first heard about emptiness, I didn't understand much, but I really thought, wow, the person that has come up with this must be really extraordinary. So again, these teachings, they have to appeal to us. If you know people who practice these teachings, but I'm not talking about ordinary beings like us. I'm talking about the teachers, like the real teachers. They can inspire you because they show you a total stable mind in no matter what situation. Now the problem there is sometimes they don't show a stable mind. And then we have to look, are they trying to show me something? Or are they really totally not realized? Because very often they just show us a mirror. So then it's for us, and this, it's for us to see. It's not an easy thing, a relationship with a teacher. Because he or she will tell you to do things that you normally would not do. But here comes the trust. It's to stretch your borders. It is to make you more compassionate and more wise. And it's for you, and it's to make you grow up. So it cannot be things that are just comfortable. Because then we wouldn't need a teacher, because we always want to do the most comfortable and the most easy thing. Isn't it? Yeah, so they are there to stretch our borders. sometimes they're there to show us a mirror, so first we look inside, is it something that I recognize in myself, that he's showing now, what does it do to me, and so on. But if that trust is there, then you will be able to do difficult things that you would not have been able to do starting on your own. Okay, is that more or less clear? Why, we have pictures sometimes of the masters, especially if you go to somebody's home, they have an altar, then there's always some pictures of their masters. And what it does, I think, it's, of course, inspiring us. But what it also does is the contact with these people makes us happy. Because we see that it's possible. And also, because we respect these people, we bring up our positive side, because we don't want to bring up our negative side, so not necessarily that goes consciously, it almost goes automatically. If a master or a teacher tells you to do something, even though it's difficult, you try to do it. And don't be afraid, they don't necessarily tell you to go into long retreat, they might tell you to open a Dharma center. In general, they don't give you the check that goes with it. You have to raise the funds. This is one way of helping your guru. Or, they always talk about offerings to the guru. So these are, we visualize that the guru or the Buddha's received them, then afterwards we eat them ourselves. But it's this generosity, this giving out of gratitude for receiving the teachings. So, if you have admiration for that person, or if you see how much, if you have gratitude for that person, because they show you things that you, all of a sudden you see, that you would never have found out yourself, and all of a sudden you see that, wow, if I apply this, it works. Even though it's not easy, but it does work. Then you have a wish to help that master, because he's just one person. Though these masters, they have huge projects, so you want to help them make that known. Not as a mission, not so that everybody becomes a Buddhist, but to make it available. We don't need to, go on a mission and try to come everybody here so that they practice this. We only need to make it available. So whoever is ready to hear it, and whoever wants to practice this, they have access to these teachings. So with these projects, then you want to help your teacher to make that happen. And sometimes it's a very difficult job, because you work with people you alone also you can't do. So you work with people that are not necessarily just compassionate and wise and always doing what you think they should do because they're Buddhists. Then we have to work a lot with patience and disappointment, anger sometimes also, because they're not doing what we want them to do. And so, anybody knows Garchen Rinpoche? Garchen Rinpoche. This one comes to Israel sometimes, and he explained at one point what it means to be Sangha, and I really liked this word. So, you see, you decide if you are a Sangha, not somebody else. And as a Sangha member, you have a certain kind of behavior. You want to attain awakening. You want the Buddha Dharma to flourish, so you have to be a good example, kind of. But still, we're human, so there is conflict. But he says, as a Sangha member, it's like having a conflict. It's like having if you have two porcelain cups and they have a conflict with each other, they break. But being a Sangha member is like being a wooden cup. It makes noise, but nothing breaks. So don't be afraid of these conflicts. That one has sometimes in the summer. Don't, if you're new, don't expect that everybody here was done 2 weekends, should already be, just compassion and this. Now, this is usually what people say. All of a sudden they see the anger in somebody who is a so-called Buddhist, and then they go, oh, but I thought Buddhists are all compassionate. Yes, we all work to be compassionate and having no anger, but we don't succeed necessarily because everybody says this is a long path and it's very difficult to do. And so then we're disappointed. So whenever you see something like this, it's very good to separate the act from the person. And then you become like a mother. If you have a child and the child has difficulties in life, but you see that the child is trying to its own ability, and then the child fails, you wouldn't get angry. You would still honor the child's effort that the child is making. But for us, when we see somebody who's angry, we think they're making no effort and they're just letting their mind go. Yeah, they're like everybody else, like us. But if you can separate the act from the person and think, well, what this person is doing now, this is not good. I will try not to react like this. Then you're protected from getting angry at that person, because then again you're in your wisdom and in your compassion and understanding, instead of being in your own expectation and ego-centeredness and this person shouldn't act like this and so forth. Do you see what I mean? So if you come into these circles, do not expect that everybody will be there to serve you and everybody will be happy to serve you. Sometimes, yes, we are very happy to serve you. How difficult that is, because people are so demanding and so moody. Just volunteer to take the Dharma phone until the next retreat. How many of you have had the Dharma phone? The Dharma phone. The telephone that you phone when you want something from the Dharma friend. How do I get there? What kind of food they will have? Oh, I'm coming. No, now I'm not coming. How many of you had like innumerable calls like this? Nobody? Yeah.
Since yesterday.
Huh?
Since yesterday there were many calls.
Only since yesterday. And people are supposed to be here. Or is it for another course? Or?
No, for this one.
Yeah, so, you had the phone since 6 o'clock yesterday evening. So this is what I mean. It's very difficult for an ordinary person to fulfill these needs. Now the group is quite small, but sometimes it's like, 80 people, 100, 150, even more, and everybody has some kind of question and thinks that he or she is the only one having that question. So it could well be that the person gets a bit impatient when you phone for the third or the fourth time, having organized your transport and then you cancel it again and then you come again and then need it. So if they get a little bit impatient, then maybe think what I said. Maybe I'm not the only one who phones. Maybe that is not their, the only demand that they have. Okay? So we're all trying quite hard. We're all trying, hopefully, with a lot of joy, because it can be a very joyful path. It should be a very joyful path. But it becomes very heavy if you take it too seriously. And this is why when we do tomorrow Ultimate Bodhicitta, it starts to lighten up. There is no real I. The world does not look the way that it manifests and so on. So we start to behave as if we are in a movie. We have to role, we have to play that role. We cannot say, oh, I don't want to participate. We have to participate in that movie that we call life. So, but it becomes, when you have to play the role in a movie or in a theater, how many of you play theater? Okay, so far, the only one?
Long time ago.
Huh?
Long time ago.
Yeah, long time ago.
I was in theater.
So you have to become that character, otherwise it's not convincing to the audience. They will not like the play. But when the play is finished, then you drop the role. And you go and have a coffee or a beer with your adversary or whatever. Whereas we take everything along. All our roles that we play, sometimes the victim, sometimes the hero, sometimes the aggressor, we carry it along with us and we identify with it. This is the problem. This is our problem. Okay, so the guru, the teacher, shows us our way, shows us the path, shows us the methods. Because there's so many things to practice, and after a very short time, it's okay, you can use these toilets. Yeah, just use them. It says it's only for the teacher, but it's not. In this course, it doesn't apply. In other courses, when you have Tibetan geshes, then definitely it applies. But for this course, it's fine, because as I said, I'm just also trying. I'm not really a teacher, so. So the teacher shows us the path. And not only that, but is also there to inspire us and to pick out what we need on this path. So in order to start, we also need attitudes from our own side. So when I asked you before, what did you think? Your motivation for coming here, how many of you thought, my mind is really sick. I'm like a patient. And I'm coming to listen if this method could be a medicine, and so the Buddha would be the doctor. How many of you thought like this? Honestly, truly. These points.
More.
I'm the patient, the Buddha, the method is the medicine, and the Buddha is the doctor. Okay. That would be the right attitude. Because we are sick. Why? Because we don't have what we want. We don't have lasting happiness. And we have negative emotions that we don't really want to have, but we don't know how to get rid of them. I don't think anybody wants to have his or her negative emotions. We're all slaves to them. We're all prisoners to them. Nobody wants to have them. Everybody has them. So this is ways and means how to work with them in a skillful way so that we don't destroy ourselves. With the negative emotions, the big problem that we have is that we identify with them. I am angry. No, there's anger in the mind. So if you want to get rid of your anger, if you are angry, that means you have to throw out all of you. You would have to get rid of yourself completely, totally. But we all know that's not true. We're not just anger. We have anger sometimes. So these negative emotions, they're not you, but you have them. So it's something totally different, because if we identify with them, there's nothing we can do, because that's me. If we know that we have them, we can separate I, combination of body and mind, changing moment by moment by moment, and the negative emotions that we don't really need. Here the problem is that we think we need them in order to survive. Why that's not true, we look at this tomorrow or this afternoon? This afternoon, I think, we look at that. So we need certain prerequisites if you have come to this conclusion. I am the patient. And not a patient who is depressed. A patient who recognizes, I am sick. So I need help. Because then the mind is much more open to receive help. If you think you're healthy,